Well, that's a weird freeze. What's up with that? That's very strange. I think I should just start the show. That was odd. My little graphic thing and the timer and everything just froze. I guess it just didn't. It doesn't like being this organized in the morning. It's the morning show, and it's just too much. You just can't dump that level of technology that early on this system. Hi, everybody. Good morning, Kath. Hi. Hold on. Let me open up my chat down here, and let's see. Good morning. Hey there, everybody. How you doing? What's happening? Yes, very precise timing. It just froze and went, time is an illusion. We're doing the show now. That's just how it works. And my camera is tilted again. I went and secured it and moved it up, and still, what the heck? All right. These are the kind of things I deal with all the time. That's just how it works. Hi, everybody. Hello. Good morning. What's up? Hello. Jimmy's back. Good to see you. Boston, how are you? Sorry, Hawaii. Excellent. No waiting. Yes, right. Yes, there have been some gremlins lately. I think it's my targeting of certain. I'm just gonna stack it up since everybody's welcome to their own paranoid conspiracy that inflates their own importance. I think I'm certainly allowed to just assume it's because I'm going after certain pro-Putin YouTubers and streamers these days. I'll just say yes. Why not? You can apparently, like, if you claim victimhood within whatever limits that you're experiencing in the online world, especially in social media, clearly you get conspiracy cred right out of the gate. You're allowed to just it's not because I fucked up. It's not because I forgot to do a thing, or there are lots of other people standing in line in front of me, or I'm in a sea of people and that they're all jockeying for the algorithm and there's a trillion moving parts. No. Occam's rubber mallet tells me that it's me and I'm always being abused by the system. That seems to be going around quite a bit these days. And I'm sorry to disappoint some of you folks. But increasingly, I think what a lot of us are going to recognize is that the algorithm doesn't give a shit. If you've been complaining about bureaucracy in your life, wait till they start using algorithms to solve a bunch of this stuff. Now, after a while, technologically, algorithms will kind of solve all of life's problems. They really will. But because they are crafted by human beings, and currently the human beings that are crafting the algorithms have, let's just say they are neurodiverse and are often singular focused coding types who don't adapt well to newness, creativity, and things outside routine. As a matter of fact, they cling to routine as one of the only ways to manage their day. A lot of what they're going to design initially is going to be based on what, corralling you. Most algorithms currently are based on advertising, sales, and research. So if you're looking for something, it'll give you a shit ton of what you're looking for. It won't give you what you need. It'll just keep giving you what you asked for, even how it interprets what you're asking. Because a lot of times it's, who are the two primary search engine targets that are basically it's businesses researching either, reports internally to the company or externally to the company around, resources versus profit versus potential versus exploration, blah, blah, blah. Same category and way of thinking ports over to universities. Same category and way of thinking ports over to coders. So that's who makes all this shit. Will not algorithms lie as well as humans? It depends on what you define as a lie. Hold on, I'm turning my fan on. It's toasty in here. Because algorithms at some point will, they are effectively doing human-like lies because of who designed them. Because effectively they're telling you what you want to hear or what they think you want to hear, which is the soft kind of lie you deal with an intimate partner, for example, all the time. So not so much lying. That's a, and again, that's a human judgment lie. That's why we talk about, even in the media, they have a hard time calling a lie sometimes because it's an untruth. It's the argument we've had multiple times with the idiots that can't tell the difference between misinformation and disinformation, right? So primarily, you've got these algorithms that are currently being designed technologically for people. This is a morning show. We just start talking philosophically about some of this stuff that are being designed by people who are flawed, and directing the basis of their coding to solve an issue that they think is important. So in the hierarchy of problem solving, they're going to solve their problems first, which are very narrow and very limited to advertising profitability and research affirmation. Very few people do big, elaborate searches for ways to undermine their argument. As a matter of fact, phrasing that's very difficult. So when you're let's say you're doing a paper on I don't know, you're doing a paper on oil exploration, the remaining oil reserves on Earth, and you're doing it from the point of view that it's a finite resource and we're definitely going to run out. So you're going to phrase how you look for it, limited oil reserves limitation, declining oil reserves. These are the kind of search engine inputs you're going to put in, and you're going to get drafted algorithmic choices of, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of articles based on the way you phrase it. And very few people go, will we have oil forever? Is there an unlimited supply of oil? And even if you do, you're going to find that the search engines really will attach to that. You mean that sarcastically, because almost no one does that. So that's how they're designed. The difference will be, and this is my own personal feeling, you rip NFTs and crypto. Crypto will make a weird rebound once people figure out how to work a stable coin, and then it won't even fucking matter. And you'll recognize that basically you have crypto in its current form just by using your debit card. People are fucking dumb. Thanks, Sarah. So no notification. Oh, that might be a Facebook thing. I think they hate me. Look at that. Almost at a level 4 hype train on Twitch already. And with a conversation about, algorithmical variety, in terms of human psychology and coding right out of the gate on a Wednesday, like an asshole. So the point I'm trying to make, though, is that eventually you get your needs met, and then your need, as far as, programmers in this particular case, you solve the problem you have within an order of where the return on investment would just drops off precipitously. And then your new problem is, well, you like coding and solving problems. So you're going to start working on stuff that will solve bigger stuff than even you can think about. And so what'll happen, what feeds the hype train, that's on Twitch. You can do bits, you can subscribe, which really helps. Oh, I don't have my subscription thing up. Hold on. Where'd that go? What happened? That's weird. Oh, maybe I don't have it on this one. Oh, it's on the other computer. I beg your pardon. It should be on here, shouldn't it? Hold on, back here. Yeah, it's gone. Is there a Streamlabs issue today? It looks like it. Oh yeah, there it is. Something's going on with Streamlabs. There's no tip cup right here, which is usually right there. There's no like the little progress bar. They're attacking me. The programmers, they don't like me talking out of school about them. That's what the glitch was in the beginning thing. So Streamlabs is having a little bit of a panic attack. So anyways, and which will inevitably hurt my earnings when it doesn't work. Shit happens. You know what I mean? It's like if you work at a restaurant and you have no idea that there's like a series of potholes that are making people not want to drive, so they avoid your restaurant 10 times that week. 10 customers avoid your restaurant, and that lowers output from a pothole that's miles away. Meanwhile, you're like, I don't think our new flyers are working. Has nothing to do with it. There's a pothole. It's interesting in the internet world that you can kind of see these things. You get a top-down view in a way that you don't elsewhere. I was just reading an article this morning about YouTubers that quit and then come back, and the social anxiety of producing videos for an increasingly like an ever-growing audience, but a dwindling return, and the nervousness that a lot of them have, about being canceled and stuff, which I believe is a window that we went through that is largely past now, for the most part. Especially when you're going back and going after stuff for people that people said a long time ago that they themselves have recognized and changed with the times just in their behavior. You can see it. Right? Anyways, another thing to say. But eventually these programmers, back where I was, will eventually start programming, and they already are, with AI to make its own decisions about chasing the broader algorithmic desires of other people using the input that they put in. So instead of some programmer making a list of things like in a chatbot that you would probably say, they load in, the entire English language, the entire dictionary as it stands, the Urban Dictionary, all kinds of other stuff, and then they allow the AI to absorb, the speech patterns of 40,000 phone calls and whatever from 1,000 different people. Eventually, learn how to converse back and forth, where it can imitate it as best it can. And then to start in those communications, once it can communicate, where it's past sort of the verbal Turing test with anybody, is that eventually you'll start going, I need a program that makes music when I play the drums with my eyebrows. And it'll go, okay, and it'll make it. Like, that's where we're headed. That's even stage, 5 as opposed to stage 20. Hey, Andrea, 361 people in the chat alone on YouTube. That's lovely. It's a morning show. We're much more laid back here. And shall we look at the trends, since my other graphics are not working? Hold on. 1 second. It's this guy right here. Oh my, there you go. Maybe it's this. Maybe it just doesn't want to be up at the same time. It's weird. I mean, I'm not going to worry about it because it's the morning show, but I'm going to have to tweak it after the show so this afternoon show isn't messed with. Justice Sotomayor is trending. Why? Because right-wingers are saying it was her. Can you imagine the media outrage of protesters outside of Justice Sotomayor's house? Well, depends on why they were there. Right? If Justice Sotomayor wrote the majority opinion overturning Roe v. Wade when she said under oath that she believed in stare decisis and that it was settled law, I'm guessing there wouldn't be that much outrage. As a matter of fact, people would be even more justified. People would go, what the, like, we expect the Kavanaughs and Amy Coney Barretts of the world to be bullshitting us, but what the hell is that? So yes, I can imagine it. Just Sotomayor Kagan, how they feel about their conservative colleagues being protested at their house, genuinely asking. I haven't checked. I think they're all against it. Yeah, this is a bunch of shit. So everybody's responding to him saying this. Right. Okay. And Jim Jordan is not important. He's in a safe red district in Ohio. I don't know why somehow that makes him the voice of a generation. One of the things that we can probably learn on our side of the aisle that the Republicans aren't going to learn for a good long while is that allowing people in super safe districts for your party to be the voice of said party is a recipe for disaster. Because if we have this problem with with the progressives basically fighting major battles to turn blue districts bluer instead of actually turning red districts purple or fully blue, which would be an accomplishment. Then putting a person in there who was already in a blue district who's just slightly bluer in that estimate, from their side, to be a spokesperson from a safe district where basically they can, say the most outlandish, radical things from their political perspective, and it's not going to damage them politically, is not going to be a big tent message. It really isn't. And Republicans are facing this right now with MTG and Matt Gaetz and to some degree Jim Jordan. And I would argue that Jim Jordan is no better than Gaetz or MTG. He just has this illusion of respectability for some reason because he's fucking older and from Ohio. But allowing these people to be the primary voice of your party narrowcasts what your party is about to everybody and only uses the jargon language that the true believers will understand. So, because sometimes it's not even the ideas that wouldn't catch hold across the country, it's the jargon that's not portable. Right? Julie's for adding justices. Not a bad idea. I think one per district is a reasonable thought. None of the three you named have written any legislation. Yeah, exactly. Right. And yet they are they're supposed to be the spearhead of a party. One would think that the spearhead of your party would be the one crafting and passing the most legislation. That would be the indicator of your party at work, as opposed to at show. No lie with Brian Taylor comment. New Marsha Blackburn just said that peaceful demonstrators protesting against Supreme Court should be arrested and forcibly hauled down to the police headquarters and booked for trying to change the outcome of a Supreme Court decision. Wait, it's not the Supreme Court decision. It doesn't have anything to do with the First Amendment, does it? I mean, she's a jackass. What do we expect? Talks for EU embargo on Russian oil have been halted. The EU ambassadors broke off talks for the day, as they look to Hungary for support on banning Russian oil under a new package of sanctions designed to punish Moscow for waging war on Ukraine. Yeah, they're getting rid of oil, and this is going to be all about oil. They're going to make a noise. We got Russia, and we got Russian oil banned and stuff. Well, they don't really use that much oil. They use natural gas. You can get oil from other places. It comes in boats. That's why we get it from the Middle East, or did for a long time. It's why you can get it from Venezuela and other places. It's in liquid form already. LNG has to be converted from a gas to a liquid form for transport and then reconverted backwards. That's why pipelines are necessary. That's why gas pipelines, when they're talking about gas, we always think of gasoline. That's not what they're talking about. So, content warning time, your live updating tweets, which consist of sensitive images in this new development. Really? Czech lawmakers reportedly recognize Russia's actions in Ukraine as a genocide. Oop, there you go. European Commission, Ukraine needs up to 600 billion euros for reconstruction due to Russia's war so far. European Commission, we'll be fine. We'll help them out. They'll be fine. Top EU official backs multi-trillion-dollar plan to rebuild Ukraine. Russia pushed back and forth north of Kharkiv. Ukraine report from the front line. Yeah. Pro-Kremlin authorities in Ukraine, Kherson said Wednesday they will ask Russia to annex the region as Moscow seeks to shore up its gains in increasingly drawn-out and bloody war. Yeah, that's what they were going to salami slice more of the country, but they're not going to stop. Anybody fucking dumb enough to think that, well, if they just take the east and the south and they cut Ukraine off from the Black Sea, they'll be happy then. No, they won't. They'll have even more of a stranglehold on oil and gas in the region, and they will choke Ukraine out of existence and then start taking the land because there's oil and gas resources inland in Ukraine, which they don't believe should exist in the first fucking place. Then they take Moldova. And who the fuck? Everybody's like, we gotta learn the lessons of World War II. This good stuff gets right. Yeah, well, one of the lessons is that when Hitler said it's just Poland, he wasn't being completely honest. Yeah, so they just paused it to try and get Hungary on board. They're just gonna have to throw them a bone and get them the resources from someplace else because they can't afford it from anywhere else, and it's super fucking cheap right now. Yeah, this is the Eastman thing. This guy, Eastman looks like the famous Hollywood actor playing him in the movie who's gained a lot of weight wearing a bunch of prosthetics and a wig. You know what I mean? Like, he literally looks like, oh my God, can you believe that's Christian Bale? He looks like he's like being teed up as, for an actor to go, I don't know, I could kind of, if you tilt your head, you can sort of see that it's Tom Cruise. By the way, thank God this guy's an asshole and was surrounded by idiots who were feeding him stupid ideas that weren't going to work. Ugh. I love this dude. I love everybody who worked around him. Morons to the man. Okay. Let's see. Katie Porter. Okay. Katie Porter gave emotional speech to fellow Dems about skyrocketing grocery bills. She said it felt like the first time it sank in with some colleagues when told her it's not coming up the polls. Her response, you don't know what to ask. I love Katie, so that's good for her. Only after I put bacon in her car at her local grocery store recently did she notice the price had spiked to $9 a pound. Luckily, she put the package back. It was a dose of reality that Porter, California progressive single mother of three, has long understood, but she's not sure all of her Democratic. Okay. Gave an emotional speech about how inflation has hit her family during a private House Democratic caucus last week. She said it seemed like the first time it hit. Too often Congress recognizes issues too late. Had a colleague mention to me, we're not seeing it in the polls. Well, you don't know what to ask. For Porter, the episode revealed how much Democrats still need to do to assure voters they understand everyday anxieties, particularly inflation, strain on family budgets. She's not alone. Here's the problem I have, and I appreciate where she's coming from. This inflation is not a monetary issue. It's going to be muted some by the Fed raising interest rates because everybody's going to act as if. But the majority of what we're experiencing in year-over-year inflation is all of this shit at the same time. It is supply shock, is the war, and energy prices due to that. The energy companies themselves have said, we're not raising output more than 5%. And it's not even about everybody just wants to pump it off as greed and stuff. And there's no doubt that some of them are in it that way or that's how they're making decisions. But the truth is they're looking to the fact that it's not a production problem. And at some point, the rubber band is going to snap back and oil prices are going to fucking go through the floor. And then it's the collapse of those markets. And we don't realize how many state and federal programs partly run on revenue from American oil and gas, for example. And when that tax base falls off, you lose that spending money. You have a mini Venezuela is what they're worried about. Conveying is part of it, but first you have to see it. Voters are very quick to be able to sense when something's hollow rhetoric. It's not about just switching up your talking points, it's about seeing the issues. She's right about that. Democrats have been feverishly planning to tackle record price hikes. Speaker Pelosi is pushing a vote on gas price package before Memorial Day. Members are holding town hall to tout their work on manufacturing bill to help supply chain snags. State officials have proposed rebate checks for gas and slashing grocery taxes. I mean, I honestly think that there could be a one-time tax rebate for commuters and people who drive for a living, anybody who spends more than the average person, or even beyond the below commuter status, that would basically rebate them the overage of gas prices year over year based on what's going on in Ukraine and the supply chain. It sought to convey his urgency, calling inflation his top domestic priority. He spoke about his own childhood, his family, kitchen table issue. I know you've been frustrated, but Biden also spent much of the time explaining the cause of inflation using policy-heavy rhetoric. Some Democrats who watched the speech compared to an economics lesson more than political rallying cry, because there isn't a political rallying cry. You can't rally anyone. There's nothing to rally to. It's a fucking reality. It just is. It's based on actual shit. You can't go scream at the fucking Fed and go, take it to 3 points. We got to drive this. It's not going to work. It's a supply chain issue. It's supply shock. No, there's no dumping of cash problem. They're having a hard time with treasuries right now because foreign entities that pay their bond payments in U.S. dollars can't get enough of them. They don't have enough U.S. dollars to pay their bond payments. That's not a problem you have if there's too much money in the system. If you're explaining, you're losing. I disagree. I think that's a mistake. I think assuming that your voters are stupid, it's how you explain. And it's not that Democrats can't do anything about some of this, or Republicans can't do anything. Like, there are elements of this that nobody can do anything about. You're basically, what people are asking for is a rain dance. That's what they're asking for. And like I said, there are minor ways to tamp this down. And one of the ways you can do is just deal with the reality and say, give it as a tax refund. Add the extra rise, the 56% in gas prices year over year as a one-time tax break, because it's going to go back down and then it evens it back out. That's how you would do it. It will, and if you just send the money out and you do it like a tax credit and you just send them a check, that will artificially keep gas prices high because everybody will be willing to pay at the amount that's currently there. And that's dangerous too. Thanks, Suzanne. If you're asking, don't ask for a fucking rain dance. And that's the problem, is that none of these guys grasp what's really going on. And they're like, well, how do I explain this? It's like there's a drought and you need to raise your hands to the sky and your face to the sky and then drop them down and then hop to your left and shut the fuck up. Part of it is appealing to American toughness, quite frankly, and resilience. And going, this is a worldwide problem, and we're handling it better than nearly any other country on the planet. And we're doing everything we can within reason to make sure we're doing, steps that will mitigate the damage and keep people from, being on the receiving end of, that. But we can't get between you and reality, nor would you want us to ultimately. Colleagues say Porter's brash style resonates with voters, particularly liberals, who are often just as angry as she is. Pent-up frustration is exactly that many of the highest inflation in 40 years, and not all are enthusiastic or Democrats. Yeah, I'm sorry. I would assume that has there ever been a situation where all were enthusiastic to hear what anyone was doing to fight a problem they recognize? They have more interest in seeing results. Well, that's the problem, though. What result are you talking about? Are you talking about results that are fucking possible? Or are you talking about it should just be like it was? CSL's not always here in the mornings because he doesn't have to be. We have a lot of other, like he's in the afternoons and working on clips and that kind of stuff. Don't worry, we got plenty of mods and everybody's good. He's all right. Yeah. They don't want to hear us explaining, but it's complicated and we're on it. I mean, that's been the response in a lot of ways about the baby food shortage. When, it's like, it gets complicated, we're on it. The FDA is working on it 24/7, which is a reasonable, it is an unreasonable answer if you want to hear all the details. But it's also unreasonable to bother to tell you if once you hear all the details, you have the same kind of we'll fix it attitude, when the reality is we have supply chain issues because of supplies that have been put in baby food formula over the years from farms and labs all over the fucking globe because of a supply chain issue that crashed during COVID, and the reshoring of factory work in the United States is going to take time. We're definitely moving a lot of this stuff closer to home, and we're definitely sourcing through Canada and Mexico more than we were from Europe, for example, or Asia. And nobody gets baby food from China. But sometimes they get isolated chemicals from there. But even still, what caused it? What was the big bump? There was 20%, there was a 20% drop because of COVID, because of those supplies. And then there's one major factory in Sturgis, Michigan that had an outbreak of Chronobacter, and that's what shut it down. And they've been working for 3 months trying to get the fucking place back online. And they're either wrestling with, and it sounds like the part of it is they're trying to work out like, well, how do we not admit fault in the death of 2 babies, possibly, and argue that we cleaned up our place and got back to work. When the real standard should be, that part we'll litigate later. We've taken all of our samples. Just clean the fucking place as if and get back to work. We're going to have a day one FDA inspector here on Monday. Get at it. But since they're treating it like a crime scene, essentially, trying to find these strains of Chronobacter that they found in the lobby, but didn't match directly genetically with the one found in the 2 kids, which, by the way, are 2 separate kids. They basically, once the factory floor is cleaned and ready to go, they could technically start production again. But the whole building has to be cleared of it before they can do that. And the FDA, if they're still looking for samples, because these assholes are stiff-arming them, and because they don't want to be culpable if they do find, in the multiple strains of Chronobacter that have been found in that factory, if they do finally find, here it is, this is the one, then they're on the hook for what happened. That's what's happening. HAL, did scuttling of TPP delay the correction of the supply chain issues? Yes, it did. J Solo Arts asking that question. The scuttling of TPP exacerbated the supply chain issues we had with our utter reliance on China at exactly the wrong time in history. If TPP had gone through when Obama was trying to get it done, a lot of these factories that were in China during the whole phase where before the Uyghur genocide was even a story in most people's awareness, there were plenty of reasons to move your factory out of China to Vietnam or to Thailand or to South Korea or even to Taiwan. And people weren't doing it because it was cheaper in China at that time. Whereas TPP would have remedied some of that and protected those countries from aggressive anti-trade actions by China to keep those factories from moving. Had they already done the move when Obama was in office, we wouldn't be having a bunch of these fucking problems. But there are 2 things. One, too many entrenched Republicans who liked the business-friendly cheapness of China for these large corporations, and too many Democrats who thought all trade deals are bad. Trade bad, NAFTA bad, trade deal. That's why the factories left, trade deal bad. And so any trade deal had the stench of NAFTA on it, and so we all turned on TPP. I didn't, but a big portion of Democrats were like afraid to back a trade policy. And it was fucking dumb. And it's exactly what helped China secure its manufacturing base for basically 6 more years leading up to COVID. Shortage of baby formula is all part of God's plan. It's funny how God's plan's in charge of everything until it inconveniences them. None of these Democrats even read the TPP or NAFTA. I think a bunch of them did, but those were the ones who were like, this whole thing, like, if you're explaining, you're losing. Well, how the fuck are you going to talk about something as complicated as TPP and to people if they're like, they don't want to hear us explaining? Maybe it's just not, maybe you're not entertaining enough to explain it. Maybe that's why you have a spokesperson. Maybe hire someone as your spokesperson that's got some charm. Going public with their own stories related to abortion. Okay, this is, okay. Barbara Lee talking about going to Juarez, Mexico when she was in 11th grade. Good Lord, poor thing. Somebody who's private said she didn't share her children's names online. She came forward with her story for the first time. She thinks it's a similar effect in America more broadly. Right. So it's just fucking aggravating. Like, I don't. And so I appreciate what Katie Porter is saying. The problem is commiseration is not governance. It's one thing, like, people need to know we understand how they're feeling. Yeah, not always. Sometimes, and this might surprise some of you, sometimes it's good, and I recommend it even to my friends, to me, to let me know that how I feel about something might be bullshit, because there are a lot of factors I am not taking into account, and I have structured my emotional response based on half evidence, and therefore I am angry about an absence that doesn't exist, or envious of a fullness that doesn't exist. Know what I'm talking about? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you're like, this should be, why is this? And you're like, well, because of this, this, and this. Like, oh, all right, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Suddenly I'm not sharing an emotional bridge between someone over a gap we both see, where somebody has given me more information that might make me feel better about my current state, because I could be a lot fucking worse. HAL, can't NATO, EU, UN justify going to Ukraine to secure grain shipments? Can't let countries starve and can't wait until winter to address it? No, they cannot, because it will be used as a pretext to ruin those grain fields forever. They themselves will be targets for the Russians who want to ratchet this up, and the areas they will strike will be the grain fields and the grain transportation. You'll have to be like Jamie Raskin and call out these dirty bricks. Oh, thank you so much, AGN NY36. Thank you for this pragmatic, nuanced analysis of the BS situation we're in. The grifters are taking advantage of it on both sides. Graduating college at 37 next week. Thanks for saying shit I don't have time to say. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing it up. I find it infuriating that people are so afraid of pissing off somebody who doesn't like the information they're getting that they don't give everybody else the information they need to get to have a real view. I mean, at some point, you can talk to the American people like we're fucking adults. I mean, one of the greatest things about the Second City, and why it is absolutely superior to the Groundlings in every way, is that the lesson I was taught by my improv teacher there was this guy Kerry Goldenberg, who I love, was always assume your audience is smarter than you are, because it will raise the quality of your humor, because you will be talking to the best self in front of you instead of going, these assholes probably just wanna, which is where a lot of people go. And then you're not creative. That's when you get hacky. And I think that's one of the things that politicians, and part of the appeal that Trump uses is his whole common sense, it's just common sense thing. Well, their common sense is based on half information. Posing is full information. I gave you the whole story. I'm telling you what's really happening. It's just common sense you would fix this. Now, they're leaving enormous gaps in this, where anybody with half a wit will follow them, and anybody who's whole-witted will recognize that they are intentionally leaving things out to make their plan, their idea, their strategy, or their lack thereof excusable or worthwhile. So the answer is not less information. The answer is, well, of course, that's what he's saying. He's leaving out all kinds of details to make you think he's got a quick answer for this. And I'm not here to bullshit you. If you want to be bullshitted, that's a real short pier. I would not take a long walk on bullshit pier. I don't understand why anybody would vote Republican, says D4MD. Abortion. Because they genuinely believe that life begins at conception, and they have baby fixations. They also are afraid of violent crime and think that they're going to be stripped of their guns, and that those two things conflate to a panic that makes them vote in one direction. That's why. I mean, why would anybody be a suicide bomber? Why would anybody be, so orthodox that they think women shouldn't show their face in public? Like, there's billions of people on the fucking planet. There's lots of reasons to believe stupid shit. And again, it's largely about excluding details that don't confirm your fear or your endorphin rush. Racism drives much of the GQP voting. In areas, yeah. But it is not it is not exclusive to them. Yeah, bullshit can get you to the top, but it won't keep you there. Ask 45. I like Jamie Raskin a lot. Because they're racist, fascist. Even again, try not to oversimplify your enemy either, because you won't see where they're clever or what you'll overemphasize part of their strategy, and that's where they'll pull the rug. Part of the talk about Republicans being racist or fascist, especially the racist part of it, is like you're in a boxing match and all anybody has ever told you is the person is left-handed, that they're a southpaw. And so all you're going to think about is their southpaw, roundhouse, and that's all you're going to think about the entire time. Not their footwork, not their speed, not their strategy, maybe the fact that they're fighting right-handed and then they're going to switch, those kind of things. If you over-focus on one particular tale about your, you can also build them up to be insurmountable, because you can also say that because this one particular Republican is clearly a racist, they are somehow magically aligned with all racists, and therefore they are operating as a coordinated block to satisfy this giant, white supremacy, black supremacy, Jewish supremacy, Asian, like Chinese supremacy ideal, which there are enough people on the earth that believe that of each ilk that they could fight wars between each other that would be never ending, volume-wise. Maybe that's what we should do. Like, it's like the old Carlin thing, just pen them together while the rest of us just get along. But those folks, even in their alignment about their hatreds do not necessarily align on their hierarchical views or their own value within the community, their particular community. Some are followers, some are leaders, some are watchers, and anybody whose community or group is organized around that kind of narrow focus will eventually eat itself. Thanks, Dragon Player. I have heard several of these thugs say once the forced baby is born, the mother is on her own. Well, I mean, of course that's what they think. A lot of Democrats, sadly, have built up the GOP in their own heads. They're defeatist and think, what's the point? I mean, that's a great point, Sonic Fear. Look at Russia. The GOP, Putin's Russia, and the military is a fantastic analogy for Trump and MAGA. Right? How don't the fascists succeed by weaponizing racists in their country? Jovan, that's partly true, but they also work by weaponizing the racists in other countries, which is another Russia thing we'll talk about. But everybody had this idea that because Russia's a nuclear power and because Trump at one point had his thumb on the button in theory as leader of the free world, that he is forever and always the same threat he was. And they feel the same way about Putin, so much so that overarching giant threat that Trump somehow has a group of fans that are so violent they would attack the Capitol and only are just goading for the moment to go again. And this time they'll be way better at it. This fantasy that is basically allowing for a situation like Russia and Crimea and Donbass in 2014. If you look at January 6th as that one, but then in future they're going to come back bigger and stronger. Well, that's sort of true from Russia. They organized a bigger attack, but it's been worse for them because strategically, ideologically, philosophically, psychosexually, it's crap. The same way MAGA is garbage. And eventually, a lot of these folks, they're starting to peel off now. Look at Nebraska. That's going to continue and start ratcheting up. And, 6 years from now, there's going to be a lot of Trump who. What we need is another Reagan from a bunch of these people because they're going to basically look for a Republican Joe Biden that they can that's just likable to try and patch their party back together. They would say allegedly because let's see. Stop watching MSNBC. Too much panic for me. Oh yeah, I mean it's pretty ridiculous. Like I like Deadline White House, and I like obviously Rachel and Lawrence a lot. He's a very smart guy. I do think he buys into the panic a little too much, and it's frustrating to see Morning Joe kind of come around after all this time when you're like, you guys let Trump exist rent free on your show, phoning in his fucking pajamas, pretending he had any worth in the conversation for years. I mean, you could basically pinpoint Trump's advance from Morning Joe, which made him kind of softly okay with a certain section of Democrats in theory, like, well, Hillary's a warmongering neoliberal cod person. It probably does eat babies, Clinton body count. So I don't know if Trump's any worse if you really think about it. That crowd softened it up with them and then gave him some sort of like tacit legitimacy, like what he had to add to any fucking conversation was worth a goddamn over anybody else's in the world because they were friends and they used to hang out in New York. Yeah, Ari Melber is good too. Although his fascination with rap music I find embarrassing. It's just so ham-handed. Jesus Christ. It's like a dude in high school who won't shut the fuck up about it. You're like, dude, I just feel like you're trying too hard. Plans to introduce a strip. Oh yeah, this is hilarious. Hawley went a step further, saying he plans to introduce legislation to strip Disney of the copyright protections this year. Like, that's not gonna fucking happen. What are you out of your fucking mind? Well, they were looking for a state to move to, and the land in Missouri is pretty cheap. I'm sure they thought about it for about 3 weeks. And like, if we got to move out of Florida, what state are we going to? Arkansas? I recommend Southern Illinois, Disney, because you can flights. It's kind of, yeah, much more sane state than Iowa or Nebraska. Or Montana. What's happening in Montana? Oh, I don't know. Okay, this is somehow. Oh my gosh, I remember this. Oh right, because this dude's from Montana, right? Just an asshole. Yeah, it's like he's like, we're saving eggs from eagles and sea turtles. That's somehow different than, okay, dude, as soon as human women lay eggs, then you can protect them all you want, fucko. You can lay around them in a little circle and scoop sand, and then as soon as they hatch, you can protect the babies from prehistoric wolves as they crawl into the ocean. The fuck? Also, I don't know if this asshole is suggesting that if a kid can't fly at 6 weeks, you push it out of the nest, and then if it lands with a thump, you peck it to death. These are the other options? Fuck, man, these guys are dumb. This house falling into the ocean was pretty funny. 381,000 to zero immediately. Off it goes. I would say that's a successful launch. All right. Please respect Mia Khalifa's rebrand. No. Patti LuPone brother had a verbal altercation with an audience member for inappropriately wearing their face mask following what? Improperly wearing their face mask following performance of a musical company? Improperly wearing it? You mean under her nose? Were they wearing it like this? What was the issue? Told me to get the fuck out. I would exit whatever establishment. Okay. Putting an anti-masker in their place after the show, just following the fucking rules, keep the performance safe. Missed opportunity. Not putting. Try Patti LuPone. Yeah, God knows if she's got like issues at her age. If you go into the place, follow the rules of the place, or don't go in the fucking place. Like, I don't know why but my freedoms. You got the freedom to stay the fuck out. I mean, if you believe in private property, what the fuck? How is it that all of a sudden, that like right wingers are anti-private property? Dirty Dancing is getting a sequel, and Jennifer Grey will be back as Baby. However, her nose, which I miss very much. I miss her original nose. Really. Like, I don't mean like, it was fine. I mean, she was fucking beautiful. I don't understand the teeny nose thing. I don't get it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's weird in some cases. Like, if your nose is broken or it's fucking like, even fucking Harrison Ford's nose is crooked. And it's not crooked like it's got a ruffle. It fucking leans. And he's the first actor to get make $1 billion with his movies. I like her nose, but it's her choice. I agree. I just don't understand why she thought people didn't like it. She was apparently trying to impress the wrong people. Patrick. I mean, come on. I am up to date. I mean, look at her. She's beautiful. What the fuck? You don't... Ah, God. People. It all started with a cake. Going to remind Hal that Harrison Ford's nose is on a man. Yeah, but he's not the only man who's had a nose job. I mean, he hasn't had one, but there's been lots of, like, male celebrities that have had a nose job. Right? And if there's something medically wrong with it, that's if you have a deviated septum or something, and then you woke up and the doctor made your bridge smaller, that's fine. I'm just saying. Final statement on it. She was a beautiful girl. She's a beautiful woman too, but there was nothing that needed changing at all. Yeah, Ryan Gosling. There's a bunch of like fucking, you know. Did I have a nose job? No, I have not. This is my nose. This is the way it is. This is it bulbs a little more on this side, left to right, and those nobody has a nose job and still has nostrils that big. Doesn't happen. I wouldn't rule it out. One day getting a bigger nose. I wonder if hers is still laying around. Look at all your new subscribers. I know. It's exciting. Even without my alerts working today, they're totally on the fritz. We're back to basics. Yeah. Right. That's my nose. Love it or leave it. Love it and leave it, I would say. Yeah, if you break your nose or it's fucked up or it grew sideways. Yeah, we're almost at 39 or 33K. Come on. Oh, pec implants is a terrible idea. As someone who's what's called a hard gainer, it's very difficult for me to grow certain muscle groups because my arms compensate. And so when I'm doing chest, for example, growing my chest has always been very, very difficult. And I've been working on it for years now. And it takes a long time. But it's muscle. You don't put silicone or fake replacement for muscle, for fuck's sake. Right? Because what if you need to lift something? Those don't work. I don't understand that. But your arms are huge. Well, that's the thing, is that my arms can grow very big. If I work out, like if I do push-ups and bench presses and all that kind of stuff that's supposed to grow my chest and my shoulders, my biceps and my triceps will just start growing, and then the other muscles won't. So I have to isolate muscles to get them to get like this stuff to grow or this stuff to grow, or especially my chest. I've got Popeye syndrome, sort of. Although he had giant forearms and skinny bicep areas, except when they would go whooting. Right. Anyways, Nostradamus, right? My nose was rearranged from a couple of fights. See, you're allowed to get that fixed, I think. That's why I haven't gone back since Trump. The racism got so much worse, I couldn't take it. Well, yeah, there you go. Judge just released Trump. Released Trump from his daily civil penalty. He just has to pay $110,000 per the New York Times. He still hasn't paid any of it. He's going to stiff it. He's probably hold it, but he probably complained that he doesn't have it. And then he's going to pay it, or he's going to not pay it, and the judge is going to reinstate it with interest. Andy Moore, Montana, Marco Rubio. Apparently all my trends today are in alphabetical, or are all alphabetical to M's, apparently. Florence Welch discusses relationships, avoiding fame, and managing anxiety. Jesus Christ, who? Has hit her stride, yet finds herself across to release a 5th album, Dance Fever. She talks relationships, avoiding fame, from an article in Rolling Stone. Okay. And managing anxiety. How do you avoid fame? Well, I wear green see-through tops on the cover of Rolling Stone and hope no one notices me, skulking in the background. And I try to use subtle album titles like Dance Fever. It's weird. It's a secret plot to avoid fame, because people don't Google me; they Google Danny Terrio. Dance Fever. Rihanna rocked a crystal bra and low-rise skirt for her dinner date with A$AP Rocky. But at least she didn't wear a crystal skirt because she did. That'd be hard to sit on. I would. My guess is that would chafe. And good for her in her pregnancy, and I hope they're doing fine. Have a good baby. I hope to have a good baby. I'm afraid. Hashtag RHOBH. What's RHOBH? Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Fuck off. It's like garbage women come in all shapes and sizes. Rich, poor. Just those shows just gross me out. Like that and The Bachelor. Not if you had a petty skirt. I suppose. You'd need one. It didn't look like it, Hate all those Real Housewives shows. God, I don't get it. It's just gross. This is a really sad story, and there's a lot of back and forth about this. As an Al Jazeera reporter was killed by gunfire while she was reporting on Israeli Defense Forces raiding on a Jenin refugee camp in West Bank. A second journalist is in serious but stable condition after being shot. Everybody's Al Jazeera is claiming the Israelis deliberately targeted her. And then the Israelis are saying this was gunfire from Palestinian forces. Just heartbreaking. And when neither side is trustworthy, at some point, you know what's going to bring an end to this bullshit, truthfully, is ever-present drones. Media groups and NGOs and private companies with like rechargeable drones that land, charge themselves, and take off again in cycles, just floating fucking everywhere, like just eyeballs on all people. Because that's what's going to end up happening. Both groups are going to try and use those initially, they already are, on a broader scale, and then it's going to be just dozens upon dozens of them, and then it's just going to be like everywhere you fucking go. Oh, did my stream halt? Uh-oh. For mentioning it? Did it buffer on that? Did I get droned? What happened? Buffering. I froze. Rechargeable drones. Did I, just by mentioning Israel and Palestine, and like those triggered the algorithm to go, hang on there, buddy. What are you talking about? Calm yourself. What's happening? Oh. In all fairness, YouTube itself is loading poorly right now. Yeah. Yeah, there's a right. Yeah, there was an issue. Hold on. Running a speed test, and it's going to crap right now. My speed test is crap. Find your way, crap. What's happening? Yeah, internet is lagging right now where I am. Something's up. That's not you guys. Something's up with my internet connection is slow. Be able to handle. Yeah, it's not completely bad, but it's not you guys. It's not YouTube. It's the internet where I am for some reason. So there's something going down. It might be just a burble. Sometimes that happens. And a little better. Little bit of improvement. Clank. Okay, yeah, there we go. It was DARPA. Yeah. They went, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. We're gonna have to tug on your cable, on your leash a little bit there, son. Simmer down. Yes, I'm being hacked. It's the Men in Black. It's because of my machine that runs on water. Is Streamlabs is having problem. Yeah, I think there's some DDoS stuff going on. I wouldn't doubt it. And believe me, the biggest utility bill we have in this household is internet, because my job depends on it. So like and subscribe. But yeah, that's always, we literally made a decision about where we were moving based on fiber optic. We use CAX here because that's what's available. And we're in the neighborhood of Switch, which is a giant internet company, runs a cloud server service. So the quality of what's run here is very high. I don't know that, if they get hit by stuff though. Yeah. CAX. I've got FiOS. I would never give it up. Yeah, it's AGNY 36 is basically what we have. It's fiber optic. And yeah. And I'm of course the home internet tech. So our entire our web cabinet, I had to put that together. It's pretty fun to look at. One of these days I'll post a picture because I have like hue lights and all that kind of stuff that I run on things. Hey Siri, punch out. Watch. There you go.
All set.
Hey Siri, stream.
Done.
Fun, huh? So I'm that dude. So I work from home 6 days a week. Most weeks, it's all about good business location for your needs. That's exactly right. Madness to method. And when I do, work elsewhere, when I'm at the house in LA, obviously roommates being an issue, I upgraded the internet there as well, even though I'm not hardly there, just because it's so without the business plan where we are in that neighborhood, the internet would just suck. It's not fiber optic there. Yeah, I have Spectrum in LA. Yeah. Just got off the phone with my internet provider, $71 for the most basic internet, no phone, no TV, just internet. Yeah, and I mean, we're well over $300 for the internet that I have here. That's just and it's because if it goes out or it's, less than, if the quality saps, especially when I was doing like, live shows for flappers or those kind of things. Am I a victim? No, I'm not. I'm just reliant on something that's largely out of my hands, which is probably why I have, because in this house, whenever the internet lags, Summer and Ethan will both come to me and they'll go, the internet's out. And I will go through my checklist of trying to figure out what it is. The first thing I hop on is my app, not using the Wi-Fi, checking to see if there's any outages in the area. A lot of times it's that, and it's out of our hands. Then I go through the process of restarting the router. Then I go through the process of like shutting down something like, I had a computer, I was downloading a bunch of shit that I was working on, or uploading a video and it got stalled and somehow is gacking up the whole thing. But it's funny when they're like, the internet's wrong. I'm like, and I know it just happened to me too. So I'll basically just look, I'm like, it was a hitch and somebody stepped on the hose like a couple of blocks away. So I have more, awareness of those things, I guess, than, my own family, but also, the general public. And so a lot of times when, like kind of going back to the conversation we were having about inflation, I'm aware that there are a lot of moving parts. And not all of those moving parts are within arm's reach of fucking anybody. Yeah, Carl, well, I have to use, if I can't get it unless I have the business thing, and that's Vegas, everything is fees. So that's how Nevada gets around, income tax and all that kind of stuff. They make you pay through fees. So it stacks on top of everything else. Yeah. Ficus today? Yes, later on, Ficus will make an appearance, I think, considering the clips we will be looking at this afternoon. And then tomorrow I head to Jackpot, Nevada, where I'm doing shows this weekend with Nerd Halen Friday and Saturday night. And then I come back Sunday. And then on Sunday, I have a show here in Vegas at the Mint. And then next weekend, I'm in San Diego at the Laugh Factory. And then the week after that, or the Tuesday after that, I am hosting the Jam. It's at the Whiskey. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks. And then 5 days later, my kid turns 11. 11. I know. Chud's outside. You guys want to see Chud? What do you want, Chud? What's happening? What's going on? Hi. What are you doing? Yes, I'm coming for you. What are you meowing outside the door for? Do you think I'm okay? Were you worried about me? You worried about me, sweetheart? You worried about me, sweet thing? It's okay. You're just outside the door. Meow. What did you want? What's up, girl? What's going on, you sweet thing? Why is it? Well, you're just fine. You just need some love. Chud just needed some love. There she is. Chud has 0 fucks eyes, by the way. Oh, no matter, even when she's happy, she's like a super villain in a Marvel Garfield film. She's just misunderstood. Oh, it's a big scratches. Oh, it's a big scratches. Look at that. See what I mean? She's just, I will kill you. Uh-huh. Yeah, she's definitely jealous. All the hardest working cat dad in show business. Yeah. Yeah, I love Chud's face too. Chud's a good girl. What a weird thing. Yeah. You okay? Yeah. Do you want, hold on. There you go. I know your claws get stuck in me. There you go. Hold on. Let me slide. There you go. Now you can settle. She's not as Like, Chip is just realizing it's hard for him to be a lap cat because he's getting very big. Chud's actually smaller than him. She's smaller than all the cats. Except Molly. Molly's the smallest. I take it back. She's teensy. But the other cats, like, Chud is stout. She's a whole lot of woman. Mama Chud. Big Mama Chud. And I'm not completely convinced she isn't a gopher. It's entirely possible that she's a gopher, and we've just mistaken her for a cat this whole time. I wouldn't rule that out. That said, she's much more of a lap cat than she lets on, and she comes over to you when you're sitting on the couch. She'll see that you're sitting on the couch. She'll wait for you to go. Are they staying? They didn't just sit down for a second, did they? All right, they're settled in. This is movie night. And then she'll get up and she'll walk over across the couch to you. And then she'll sit down right next to your leg. And then she'll extend her arm out with her claws extended that are like this fucking big. And she'll dig them into your leg until you start petting her. Yes, you can hear her. Yeah, she's got a broken purr too. She sounds like she swallowed a pigeon a long time ago. Yeah, I know. How are you? You're so good. You're such a great cat. Chud, if those of you that don't know, is named after the 80s horror film Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers, because she was feral and lived under my house in Venice. The Venice house is dead. Long live the Venice house. And she lived underneath it and shared the the crawl space of my house with a family of possums who had both of them had divided up between them like an old sitcom where you put tape down the middle of the apartment. You stay on your side and I'm staying on my side. And it took me 2 years to coax her out from under the house where she would eat in my presence, and then eventually into the house. And then I petted her for outside. She would be okay with it. And then one time I was able to pick her up without her clawing the shit out of me. And I brought her into the house and shut the door. And she caterwauled for 6 hours because she felt trapped. She went into a closet and just curled up in a ball. And then she got over it. And I opened the door and she scampered out. And then it was 2 days where she wouldn't even talk to me. And then I left the back door open on purpose when I saw her on the porch. And she eventually walked in on her own and started sniffing around. And I put the food in the kitchen. And then she would come in and eat in the kitchen. This was a long fucking process. And then eventually she now is, she's this cat. She is. She's lovely. She's a sweetheart. She's Mama Chud. She's Big Mama Chud. I know. Do the fur babies get along? Everybody gets along except Murphy. Murphy hates everybody. We don't know what's up with him. He's very talkative. He always has been. He's trying to be the dominant one. I think having Chip here as a male has freaked him out. The smell is driving him nuts of another male in the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yay. Oh, yes. Very patient with Chud. Hi. Yeah. You okay? Yeah. And I've got cat hair all over my fucking self right now. I know. Yeah. Hi. There she is. Hi, sweetheart. Chud, you okay? You all right? Yeah. Hello. Hi, girl. So this is Chud, the story of Chud. We have 5. We had to get special permission to get the 5th. We had to get a special permit to keep Chip. Where are the possums? No idea. Terrorizing trick-or-treaters, no doubt, in my old neighborhood. Mm-hmm. She's molting. That's right. She's definitely. Look at all this all over me. Fucking hell. Hi. There she is. There she is. Hi. Oh my God. Look at my arm. Look at that tuft right there. Can you see it? Jesus Christ. That's not my hair. That's hers. Oh my God, Chud. And I didn't shave this morning, so it's just sticking to my face. Isn't Chip neutered? Yes, he is. They all are. They are all spayed and neutered. And chipped. Chip is chipped. We Chip. We ain't afraid. It is shedding season because the summer's coming. I'm turning into a wolf man, right? Murphy fights with Chip all the time, and Chip thinks it's a game. He doesn't understand that Murphy is dead serious, but Murphy's too much of a wuss to actually follow through, so it always stays a game. You need a Furminator brush? Oh, we have one of those. Chud loves that thing. She's like, I needed these scratches. Something fierce. Yeah. Hi. I'm just gonna keep her here for the rest of the show, you know. That's what I think. How there are pheromone plugins, not sure if they work or not. We have them. They help a little. Depends on the space. They work better in the bedroom because it's a smaller space than they do, say, in the kitchen, which is a wider space, and it disperses. Yeah. What the hell is a Furminator brush? Do you want to see? Hold on. There's two of them. Hold on. Oh my God. Chud, come here. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay. Here you go, kiddo. Good Lord. Oh. Stay down there. I'm coming. Come here, Chud. Stay there. Come here. I got you. Oh gosh, here she comes. Okay. I will show you guys the Furminator brush. So I got my prep for afterwards. Now, the first brush, and Chud likes this one a lot, is this guy. This is just a regular kind of spindle brush. She's a big fan. She enjoys this quite thoroughly. Right, these things, all right? And then this is what you're talking about, the Furminator brush. This gets the hair that's on the underside. This is green, so you can't see it quite as well. But it sort of grabs the hair that's just about to come out. And yeah, there you go. It's a grippier brush. See that? She's like, I'm done. Oh, goodness. You okay, kiddo? That's a long way down. You did good. Shake it off, kiddo. She's like, enough of the Furminator. But yeah, so this thing, it says Furminator on it. You can kind of see that. This gets the stuff that's like, that this thing won't. She just went in the other room to rub her face on a box. No, I do not want a possum. Although I am not completely convinced I don't want a raccoon. I'm pretty sure I do. Every time I see people with pet raccoons, I'm jealous. A raccoon, I would love to have a raccoon and a crow. We have a wild hoochie mama leave her litters in my garage. The slut. She's a slut. You'd love a skunk? Yes. I think domesticated raccoons are the next big wave. It's going to happen because they're very smart. Hello, ladies. How you doing? All right. Oh, you take it and you like it. We have ringtail cats here, rare here. Yes, they are. That's cool. Some of it just puffed up in my face. Nice try, Fabio. Thanks. I'm trying to see it. This is hold on. David Gergen is got a baby boomers have been running the country for nearly 3 decades. Some successes, a number of disappointments. It's time to pass the baton to younger generations, millennials and Gen Z. Please join us in the conversation. You don't pass the baton. If they don't want to take it, they shouldn't be in leadership positions. That's not how that shit works. There are no millennials being stiff-armed by baby boomers any more than fucking baby boomers were being stiff-armed by the greatest generation. My new book on the subject. Get the fuck out of here. And also, why the fuck did what did Gen X do wrong? You mean pass it to Gen X, don't you? You're just gonna skip right over us? You're just gonna pretend we don't exist? We latchkey kids don't have any meaning? What a dick. Is there just not enough of us to fill the positions? Texas fisherman catches 300-pound fish of a lifetime, and then he let it go. I finally found the fish of a lifetime. I didn't know Dennis Quaid liked fishing. I finally found the fish of a lifetime. It's 300 pounds, and it's splashing around. I finally caught the fish of a lifetime. Fucking, what is this thing? It's a gar? Yeah. It says the catch measured in at a whopping 8 feet 2 inches. It was 48 inches in girth, putting it well over 300 pounds. The current state record for the alligator gar is 302 pounds. So he didn't, after capturing the video, promptly released it back into the bayou, saying he didn't want to risk the animal dying while waiting to be weighed on a state-certified scale. Good for him. An alligator gar. Them shit eating. Why is Manchin to oppose Democratic bill guaranteeing abortion access? Well, it's because they still have the Catholic bill thing in there. Fake ass Democrat Joe Manchin is voting against the abortion rights bill today. Said he would have switched parties if Thune was leader. He's a corrupt Republican scumbag. Okay, yeah. Tell you what, get another Democrat elected in West Virginia, then we'll talk. Why did he say he'll vote against it? Did he have a reason? Hold on. I'm curious. Not a fan, but I want to see what the story is.
That we're going to be voting on a piece of legislation which I will not vote for today. But I would vote for a Roe v. Wade codification if it was today. I was hopeful for that, but I found out yesterday in caucus that wasn't going to be. And you've probably heard about that by now.
Why not change your position, though? I mean, you saw Senator Casey, he, changed his view.
That we're going to be voting.
Okay. What's the actual bill? What's the difference in what he thought? Joe Manchin just voted against codifying Roe v. Wade law. Okay. He, according to him, he didn't. He probably would have done. Okay. What's the difference between the bill he thinks he was promised in New Manchin tells he's a no on the bill, says it's too broad of an expansion, says he will support a codification of Roe, but says his bill goes too far. This means we expect to be a bipartisan majority voting against the bill. I was hopeful the Democratic Party, having control of the agenda, would put a piece of legislation forward to codify Roe. For me, it would be a reasonable, rational thing to do. The bill we will have to today to vote on, the Women's Health Protection Act, is not Roe v. Wade codification. It's an expansion. and that's how he reconciles being pro-life versus supporting codifying Roe. He said, I've just thought of the legislation we've had for 50 years is precedented and law. He added, justices came to us and they confirmed their belief and support their precedent of law. I believe them. We found out that's not what they're they're either moving towards, or we'll find out when they have the final ruling come out. But I was very disappointed to see that. I don't fit the mold. Let's put it that way. I don't understand. And I understand that. It's just who I am. Okay. So what's again, so that's the hang up, is that the expansions that are in the bill is why he said no. Yeah, and then everybody's going to react as if the good fucking Lord. Cole Barron said the drives in my right, explains why Americans don't want to have affordable right. Okay, this is the whole blah blah. Democratic bill guaranteeing abortion access. Okay, so that's I haven't seen the full text of the bill they were voting on today. It was never going to have the votes to advance anyways. So it was a record vote. Let's see. So Democrats made changes to the bill from earlier this year to try to assuage members of their caucus in a win to that effort. Holdout Senator Bob Casey announced this week that he supported the substance of the revised bill. They removed a non-binding finding section that, among other provisions, referred to restrictions on abortion as perpetuating white supremacy and called them a tool of gender repression. They reversed, oh, good Lord. The revised bill would still prevent governments from limiting a healthcare provider's ability to prescribe certain drugs or from immediate abortion services if the delay would risk a patient's health. The bill also prevents governments from being able to require that a patient make, quote, medically unnecessary in-person visits before an abortion. Would also prevent the bill also broadly would prevent governments from enacting any law that would create similar limits or that singles out the provision of abortion services. Healthcare providers who provide abortion services or facilities in which they are provided, and impedes access to abortion services. Is this the text? Why do they never have? Why would you not just automatically have the text of the bill in there? Because they've made some modifications for Casey. Nothing's going to change until we put the fear of God in these corrupt politicians. We have to protest outside their house, make their lives a living hell. We don't. Nothing is going to change. I got news for you. There aren't enough of you to, as far as the protests, to change those folks' minds. Manchin would vote for a codification of Roe v. Wade in this regard if that was strictly what it was. They're trying to use this as an expansion opportunity. That's what he's bucking against. That's West Virginia. You want to do me a favor? Go turn West Virginia blue and then bitch about who's the Democrat from there. We have a representative government. Again, I don't like the guy, but that's one of the reasons I don't live in West Virginia. It's because I don't, think and live like a West Virginian. Again, this is what happens when you have the bill drafted by people in blue safe districts for blue safe votes. They can just, because they know it's going to be a protest vote anyways, because they know they don't have the votes to pass. So it's basically a piece of performance art. So they throw all this shit in to make it look like they're fighting for their constituents. I voted on a bill that has all the things in it that I knew wouldn't pass, but still, it's a no loss pandering episode. And I don't know why people don't see past that. Like, yeah, I know you put forth a bill that looks great, but it didn't actually get passed. Yeah. You did it for you and your voters. You didn't do it for women and the law. West Virginia, this is on you. Yes, exactly, Charisse. Yeah. It is. And unfortunately, 80% of, West Virginia either views themselves as pro-life, where they believe in Roe v. Wade, which is I don't know. It shouldn't be that difficult to figure out that you're pro-choice, not pro-life in that regard. that you believe in the life of the mother as well. And so saying that you're pro-life just because you want to salvage the fetus at the expense of the woman doesn't make you pro-life at all. What? What is it? Who are you meowing at? Hold on, I gotta see. Make sure my cat isn't trapped under something. What? What? What is it? What happened? You okay? Yeah? What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? You are? I'm doing a show. That's why you hear my voice. Well, I am. Oh, here comes Molly. Play with her. That's so funny. Like, Chud used to never meow, and now she's getting very talkative in her old age. Yeah, pro-life, please. They don't give a crap about the child once it's here. Exactly. I'm starving, Tish. I got to fast for a procedure Tuesday. Still a long time. It is. It's okay. It will pass. Hunger comes in waves. It's not a permanent, ever-growing state. That's one of the things I think people who try to diet maybe don't recognize is that it comes and goes, your hunger. The assumption is that if I'm hungry now and I don't eat, I'm going to be hungrier later. And then I'm going to be even hungrier than that. And I'm already uncomfortable. So I'd rather start eating now since I'm looking down the barrel of discomfort. That's not how hunger works. So there. Halsey opens up about health. My body is rebelling against me. She has an autoimmune disorder. Walker. Don't know. I don't know why why this is a trend for me. Never will know. Reload this and see what they give me as a new set. Oh boy. Why is the LA Times running? Aaron Darling, candidate for West Side. Okay, whatever. Where's that? Hollywood architect Jeffrey Cooper is on trial for molesting 2 girls, yet remains a member of the Film Academy. Oh, for fuck's sake. Like they had a fucking meeting about it. They just didn't purge him from the numbers. There's a bunch of people in. The Academy's not... I'm in the Academy, for fuck's sake. Any project you're in, they buy you into it so you can vote for yourself. Reset HAL, set headphones. Oh, thank you. I don't necessarily need my headphones for the morning show. I appreciate that. Only if I'm listening to stuff. And also, you're watching HAL Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide, where we discuss internet trends and people's understandings and not understanding of certain issues. Monaraj. Yes, Hawley again. Oh boy, why is Zionist trending? Okay, because of the Al Jazeera thing. I was called out by pro-Palestinian user because I'm an aspiring journalist and that I'm just reposting Zionist propaganda. Now let me be clear, so I don't know for certain who shot them. Okay, yeah, right. That's what this is. It's like everybody's trying to. They want us to leave Jerusalem. They want us to leave Palestine. We will stay put. We won't leave. I will stay in a tent on my land. What a Palestinian child said to a Zionist colonial official that was bulldozing her home to ethnically cleanse her family. Eesh. Poor kid. Fucking hell. There are no magic rocks, people. There is no magic land. The whole earth is magic. Fucking go. Hillary Duff poses for women's health body issue. Great. Don't care. Rhino. We're always a big fan when that trends. House set to get more MAGA as Trump-backed West Virginia candidate triumphs over Rhino. According to the Daily Mail, his fucking... He just ate shit in Nebraska in a huge way. 70% of the voters there voted against his dude. Same thing with fucking J.D. Vance. 80% or whatever, 68% of Republicans who voted in the primary voted against the Trump candidate. Please. West Virginia's two senators, R&D, brought home $13 billion in infrastructure spending to their impoverished states, chronically decrepit roads. The House Republican who voted for the bipartisan package was immediately called a rhino by Trump and just lost his primary. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Trump endorsed Alex Mooney, wins against McKinley and West Virginia, 0-2 GOP primary. Another. Okay, yeah, that's just fucking stupid. Announces House floor he's resigning from Congress. 12 years in Congress. Today is my last day. Humbly bid farewell. Submit my resignation. Member of the House. Wish you all Godspeed. What? Republican from New York announced Tuesday he's resigning from Congress more than 1 year after a former. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Sorry. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Tom Reed, Republican, New York, announced Tuesday that he is resigning from Congress more than a year after a former lobbyist accused the congressman of sexual misconduct. After almost 12 years in Congress, today is my last day. It's been an honor to serve. Nicolette Davis, former lobbyist, told Washington Post in a story published last March that Reed had sexually harassed her 4 years earlier. New York Republican apologized to Davis in a lengthy statement that month, but said he had just learned about the alleged incident in the newspaper article. In that statement, the Congress said he would not seek re-elected office. Punchbowl News first reported on Reed's resignation. Humbly bid farewells until the Post last year. Reed rubbed her back and thigh and unhooked her bra when the two were at an Irish bar in Minnesota. Davis at the time was a lobbyist for an insurance company. Davis said she asked the person sitting beside her for help, which prompted him to take Congress away from the table and bring him outside the restaurant, according to the Post. Did he punch him in the face? I'm just wondering. Curious. I don't recommend it, but that seems to be part of the process in an Irish bar. Even though I'm only hearing this matter as stated from Ms. Davis, I hear her voice and will not dismiss her. In reflection, my personal depiction of the event is irrelevant. Simply put, my behavior caused her pain. What, you fucking in middle school? You unhooking her bra in a fucking bar? The congressman said the alleged incident took place at a time in my life in which I was struggling. Perhaps he was drunk. Yep, there you go. Upon entering treatment in 2017, I recognized that I am powerless over alcohol. I am now approaching 4 years of that personal lifelong journey of recovery. You did not mention the sexual misconduct. Okay. I mean, he's more than likely. I mean, the general feeling I get is that this isn't the only time, and therefore get out while the getting's good before somebody else comes for you, and you totally fuck up everything. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Felon sentenced for possession of 3D printed ghost guns. Good. A man has been sentenced to serve 6.5 years in federal prison for illegal possession of multiple unregistered 3D printed ghost guns. Among other charges, press release Wednesday said that Cody Freda Felcher of Evansville, Indiana, was sentenced after pleading guilty in 2 cases for illegal possession of 4 unregistered 3D printed smoothbore pistols, possession of firearm by unlawful use or controlled substance, carrying a firearm or anything. Okay, Felcher, 25, was also charged for possession of firearm by a felon, but the charge was dismissed as part of a plea agreement to shorten his time and just keep him in jail. And yeah, I don't know why. Sorry, one of the ways you're going to help end gun violence overall is stop giving people breaks for using guns or having guns in a possession of a felony. Right? Fuck off with this nonsense. At some point, and this is how we got the crime bill years ago. Communities of all types eventually get sick and fucking tired of people using guns to commit crimes and then having the fact that they used a gun to commit the crime be thrown out during a plea deal. And therefore it looks like later statistically that this person didn't use a gun in the commission of a felony because it's not on their record anymore. Yeah, no gun equals less prison time for start. No, with a gun, more time. Use a gun in a crime. The fact is that it is effectively an attempted murder charge on top of it. Because even the accidental discharge of a gun can kill somebody. Like, at some point, for fuck's sake, dry this shit up. The gun switches, that's fucking crazy, Harry. I've shown Harry Mecca in our thing, says gun switches are crazy too. Yeah, they basically turn a Glock into a machine gun. Timothy Leary warned us about this shit programming. Huh? What do you mean, Benny Loco? Why did the judge stop finding Trump? Probably because his lawyers asked for a pause because of, financial issues. I haven't read I haven't had a chance to read the judge's ruling yet. I haven't seen it posted anywhere. But it still gains interest if he doesn't pay it. And if he might have done it because they've set a date when they're going to give stuff. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, use a gun in a crime, go to fucking jail. Long time. Stay there. Because if you're going to use one in a crime, it is the robbery / burglar, robbery specifically, version of torturing puppies. Serial killers usually start by torturing animals, and carrying a gun to commit a robbery is that level. Eventually, you're going to use it. There's almost nobody who has a gun that is involved in, say, a carjacking, for example, that doesn't eventually use it. Statistically speaking, even if it's beyond even brandishing it, they fire it at themselves or someone, or at the victim or someone else, in the process. I'm just getting lost in the side stories from the Hill. This fucking insanity of this corner over here. How scientists are looking for T cells to develop stronger vaccines. Fine. High inflation. Products that have significant price spikes in April. Let's see what they are. High anxiety. You win. April inflation slightly cooled, rising only by 0.3%, an annual of 8.3%, so it's starting to go down. While inflation has fallen slightly after reaching rates not seen in decades, still, by the way, 6 points lower than the fucking 80s, which everybody's like, not in 40 years, when it was fucking 6 points higher, and there wasn't a pandemic 2 years before, and it was all about oil prices. Fucking hell, will anybody read a goddamn book? But while inflation has fallen slightly from reaching rates, for example, baby formula shortage. Fuck you, baby formula shortage. That's not an inflation story. It's not about the price of it, you assholes. They've rationed how many formula products customers can buy online. So now the price of baby food is up 3% from March to April and 13% in the last 12 months because of the availability of it. And part of that is because people are selling it on fucking eBay for $200. They're factoring that into the price. But other services and products have seen it. Airline fares because of fuel. And because they're making up for when no one was flying. You have an industry that was effectively grounded, very expensive, and running on a very narrow margin for a long time, by the way, competing with the Southwests of the world who are, and Spirit, who are trying to drive the price down to like Greyhound prices. And then you get hit with COVID, where basically all the planes leave the skies for a while, and you're going to make up for it. The fact that it's only up 18% is when people are finally flying again, is a minor miracle. ahead of the busy summer travels. You have flight pricing. Eggs jumped over 10% from March to April, have increased 22% in the last 12 months. A dozen of cartons. Okay, and that's because of supply. Like something tickling me. Let's look at this is exciting. Let's look at the Midwest Regional Egg Report. Come on now. There you go. Prices delivered to the warehouse. Midwest delivered prices are steady. Producer prices are 5 cents lower for large and medium eggs. The undertone is steady to barely steady. Retail demand is light to moderate. Offerings are light. Supplies are moderate. Market activity is moderate. Breaking stock prices are steady to mostly lower, with check and undergrade prices lower. The undertone is weak. The undertone. Demand is moderate to fairly good. Offerings and supplies are light to moderate. Yeah, it sounds like a fucking nightmare. Schedules are full-time to extended. Market activity is moderate to instances active. Price to retailer sales to volume buyers, USDA grade A and grade A white eggs in cartons, cents per dozen. So the extra large is $2.64 to $3.13. But mostly they're $2.67 to $3.10. Nope, to $2.70. Sorry, to $2.70. I beg your pardon. I'm using clock numbers. Look at me. Fucking hell. Large, $2.63 to $2.72, $2.65 to $2.68. Medium is $2.50 to $2.59, $2.52. Delivered to the store door. Extra large, they're $2.71. So it's an extra. There's your travel, 10 cents added to in the range. Mostly they're at $2.70. Mostly. Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin eggs. Prices paid to producers, cents per dozen. Large $2.40 to $2.50, mostly $2.44. Midwest area, U.S. sources last. Okay, this is the price. Okay. Is there a shortage of eggs? No. Midwest University said that most cartons of dozen medium eggs cost average around $2.58 earlier this year. Egg prices surpassed $3 per dozen for the second time in history. Oh, when was the first time? Experts have attributed the spike in cost of the staple kitchen item to avian flu outbreaks and the impact of millions of birds. Oh, I thought it was, can't the Fed cure avian flu? Hey, remember what I said about supply shock and all this bullshit? That's not inflation. This is not fucking inflation. So far in this conversation about inflation, the only thing close is the margin that airlines are charging. They are inflating their prices to make up for a gap, and still that is left over from 2020. But the other ones that they mentioned, this isn't fucking inflation. This is supply shock. Earlier this year, egg prices surpassed $3 per dozen for the second time in history. Experts have attributed the spike in cost of the staple kitchen item to an avian flu outbreak that impacted millions of birds. It's not the price of eggs hasn't gone up and it's going to stay there. Production of eggs isn't the problem. When they had to kill the chickens that had potentially avian flu, they didn't eliminate those nests. They didn't eliminate the processing window of that. They didn't shut down half the fucking factory where the eggs get processed. Right? They killed a bunch of sick birds, and it takes about 7 to 10 weeks to make an adult fucking chicken from an egg that can produce more eggs. Supply shock, not inflation. Let's see, butter and margin. Prices for butter and margin were also up in April by 4.7% since the prior month and 19% in the last 12 months. Troubles with staffing due to COVID cases meant some butter plants had to forego some production runs. Supply shock. That, coupled with slow growth in milk production as cow numbers fell, led to declining butter supplies. Now, why did the cow numbers fall? Contributed to increasing prices according to the agency outlook for U.S. dairy published in February. Again, not inflation. That's not inflation. Inflation is, it costs them more money to buy some more shit, And so because people are earning more money and there's more money in the money supply, so they're charging more money because more money means less money, and you need more of it to mean what it used to mean to have less. That's inflation. That's monetary inflation. This is what the fuck? They lost a bunch of cows. They're replacing the cows that were lost. That's going to take time. Chickens, while they only take about 8 weeks to go from a chick to a full-grown producing hen, unlike them, cows take a long fucking time. Yeah, $1.58 for a dozen eggs in Arkansas. Right, Ron? Yes, and the CDC dropped masks for all airlines, so everybody's flying again. Tallahassee, Florida. Judge says he'll block Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' redistricting map as unconstitutional plan disperses black voters. Yes, that was their entire point. And even if they tried, it would water down the red areas more than they know. It's a stupid plan. You can't just shuffle people around and try to make their votes worth less. It doesn't work that way, because the sympathetic voters in those areas will now have at their back people who were denied their vote before and will be more active as voters. Again, what have we seen here? Airline tickets, the only one. And even they are dealing with fuel issues. And technically, I guess on their end, a supply of travelers. For a while, they had a supply shock of the lack of travelers, and now they're making up for that lack of travelers now. Now, can I say now more often? Chicken. Motherfucker. Poultry prices in general were up over the last month and last year, especially for the price of chicken, which rose 3.5% in April and 16% over the last 12 months. Wow, that's a lot of that. That's a lot of that. That's almost a quarter of that. Why would that be? Did something happen with chickens that you're not mentioning again? Meanwhile, while seafood prices did not see a spike between March and April, those prices have risen by 11.9% in the last 12 months. Yeah, that's because there was no fucking avian flu. And the only reason they've gone up 11.9% is because they have to be transported from the ocean or the Great Lakes to dry land. The poultry price leap, and especially this particular 3.5% in April, which by the way, is why they were expecting it to be lower, because they didn't factor in the avian flu cull, is add that to the fucking 8.3%. Apparel. Overall apparel prices were down slightly by 0.8% in April, despite being up 5.4% in the year. But for men's suits, sport coats, and outerwear, price increases were more significant. It's what I would call if there's a pink tax, that's the blue tax. Spiking 6.6% in April and 21.7% in the last year. And that's because they are often seen as a durable clothing good that people put more money into, are sewn overseas and then shipped here. Supply shock. Those increases come as retailers and clothing brands attempt to recover from a major pause in profits amid COVID-19 pandemic, which effectively shuttered stores for months. Or they could just go under. So I guess, should we weigh the cost of a suit when nobody was buying anything against the cost of a suit now and zero it out and go, oh, shit, inflation's up like 1%. If you bought two suits, you bought one in 2020 and one this year, and you half the rise in price, it's almost like you made money on the deal. Fucking hell. And the fact that this is high inflation, the fucking title of this is high inflation. It's not inflation. Prices being up isn't inflation. Price gouging, because there's does anybody remember Cabbage Patch Kids or whatever, the fucking Beanie Babies or any of that stuff? You know, the whatever the big toy is at Christmas that everybody's trying to, buy, like Xboxes and shit like that. And there's only a limited number of them, and people buy them up and then they resell them and jack the fucking price up. And so the price of it, does anybody go, wow, inflation's crazy. Have you seen the price of an Xbox? No. It's like saying scalpers are for concert tickets are inflation. Right, Brandon? I don't he's been screaming this every day. I don't understand this fucking conversation. That how dare they have it? It seems insane to me. Like, how do you not punch yourself in the fucking face saying this out loud? Ginger Freak of Nature, thank you so much for the yay for the subs. Thank you guys. That might even kick us into another hype train. Who could say? Apparently, you can now do raids on YouTube. I have to look into it today. I don't know if it's a trial balloon thing, but I might be able to, at the end of my show, the major is no longer on after my show because he's busy doing other work. He's not streaming regularly. So I can't do Twitch raids, sending them to him after my show. And since I end later than most people, there's almost nowhere to send you guys except to gaming channels and music channels, and I don't feel like doing that to you on there that I follow. And but YouTube does that now, and so there might be an opportunity for that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I wonder, do men realize how this abortion issue will affect them? Of course we do. Vast majority of men in the country support Roe v. Wade in one form or another. Scalpers creating false demand as inflation to Republicans because they aren't fans of math. We all know this. That's right. They use inflation either lazily or in bad faith. Exactly. Even that the conversation is happening about that supply shock isn't the conversation right now is embarrassing, because I'm sure there are some monetary things the Fed can do to affect the markets a little bit, and it's tapering people's overvaluation in theory of the Dow, which is, of course, vacillating like crazy right now because of that. There you go. Year to date. There you go. $20,000 the last year. There we go. Hold on. Can I just show you guys this? Do you mind? Fucking hell. This is the Dow for the last 5 years. This is Trump. This is Trump. And this is Trump. And this is Biden. Whee! I mean, I'm sorry. Does this look like a fucking crash to you? Honest to fucking God. Look, want to see what it looks like in one day? Oh God! It's terrible. Look at 5 days, it's terrible. 1 month, I don't even know. It's the last 6 months have been terrible. The 1 year is out of 5 years. Oh, it's fine, actually. It's just kind of if you stretch it out over. Hey, let's look at what it is maximum. Hey, look at that. Fuck you, 1987. Look at this. Look at it. Here you go. Here's your Clinton. Boom. By the way, welcome to retail investing. Right about here. Just saying. But it's terrible. Look at it. It's a crater. I mean, it looks like Mount Everest, and you just fell off. What are you going to do? 5 days, well, it's not so bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to snowboard it, but it's not half bad, I suppose. But Jesus, oh, that's all right. That looks kind of like the view out my window when I'm driving from Nevada to LA. Rumply bumpily. Year to date. Rumply blumpy. This is from May of last year. 1 year. Look at that. Just, I don't know. In this margin from 36 to 32, just like rabba. And then 5 years, oh yeah, fuck you. All right. But tell me again how the whole thing is collapsing. There's $10 trillion in the market right now. And that's just the Dow. Yeah. Hold on, quick. Bring this over here. S&P 500 Dow up after inflation data. NASDAQ falls on rate hike worries. Yeah, because they think that they're going to raise. And again, what do they mean by rate hike worry? This part right here. They think that stocks are going to go down because people are going to see a safer and better return in bonds and T-bills, treasuries. And so they're going to take their money out of the stock market and they're going to park it over there because, you know, if it's too volatile, it's not worth the risk. And if it's going down, they won't see their 3.3% 10-year return on these, you know, and so they're worried that this is going to be a trend. So, and if you raise the rates, they're not going to undo the rates quickly in a couple of years. So they can kind of settle in on a 5 or a 10-year bond or some shit and park their money there and let it rise safely in this area. And so the people who only operate in stocks are going to freak the fuck out because everybody's going to get out and artificially lowering the price of a stock, which was artificially inflated by attitude anyways. Like this, you know what this is like? When these conversations are like diet and exercise tips from fitness models or like weightlifters, like Mr. Universe. They will tell you this is what you want to eat to gain, 65 pounds of muscle, and this is how often you have to work out, and this is the split level, and which is where you spend half your year a bloated mess, and then you do a big cut before the show, and then because it's all for looks largely. Whereas the rest of us, I think, when it comes to health and fitness, are looking for a quality maintenance level that is both healthy and aesthetically pleasing to our body type. That is normal. You know what I mean? That would be your holding investors, right? It's some weeks working out's gonna be good. Some weeks it's gonna be tough. Some weeks, sticking to like better food habits are fun. Sometimes you're gonna break your streak and eat a fucking thing of ice cream or whatever. And that would be the ups and downs in the stock market, right? In your diet. But overall, your plan, if you stay to it, for the most part, you're going to keep going up. But if you're a fitness model that always has to have like striated abs and be veiny year round, you're going to look at food and exercise totally differently than any normal person. And every fluctuation is going to be a psychotic fixation for you. That's what this is. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Andrea. Yes, it is 11 o'clock. I will bail out in that regard. Everybody, the bow tie guys. Labor Department showing the CPI rose 0.3% last month, the smallest gain since August, but still above economists' forecast of 0.2%, which again, we're slaves to their expectations, and their expectations are informed based on what? Economists. Oh, those guys. They don't disagree ever. Never been wrong before. So-called core CPI increased 6.2%. Yeah, there you go. There's in 12 months through April, after a 6.5% jump in March, which is the largest gain since August 1982. What was it then in August of 1982? Oh, it was 14%. It was the core number that gave people pause. It was a little higher, but was it anything dramatic? Not really. Last month was way below what people expected. At the end, so this is added on to this lowering was even over the extra lowering. These motherfuckers, Jesus Christ! It's like when a company makes like $50 billion in profit, but their stock goes down because some asshole expected 60. It's a good company. Maybe they build shit that's worth building. Maybe you hang in there and you let them keep investing because of that. And the direct profitability year to year isn't the big choice. I don't know, fucking hell. Let's see. Cyclical sectors such as materials rose 1.8%, while financials and industrials added 1.1 and 0.7, respectively. Banks climbed 1.2. 8 of the 11 S&P sectors advanced. Energy gained 3.5% as oil prices jumped 5%, buoyed by supply concerns. There you go. There you go. Man, I'm tired of being right. Average, let's see, at 12:14 p.m., it's fluctuating all over the place. Like, these assholes are like, it's up today, it's down today, it's up today. It's like, what is it over? Give me a fucking bird's eye view. It's like judging your breathing based on every intake and exhale. Coinbase Global slid 22% after its first quarter revenue missed estimates. What estimates and who made these estimates? Based on Fartcoin? Amid a turmoil in global markets, which has curbed investor appetite for risk assets. There you go. That's what we're talking about. There's your stock market dropping down. Those are quote-unquote risk assets for some people. And tech stocks are viewed that way. And they, anytime inflation goes up, they're like, hey, let's get into fucking farm and big ag shit. And then when it's not profitable, we'll pull the fucking stuff out of there. Hollywood dictates that all stars turn into plastic or they get shit canned. I disagree, Benny Loco. That is not the case. The invisible hand, the Fed idea, is outdated. I went to a protest against Alito's road plan last week, and a lot of men were there. One of the chants was 2468. We're the ones who ovulate. Everybody who wanted could say a few words in the crowd, so I thanked everyone there who doesn't ovulate for supporting our rights. There you go, Amoeba Stampede. For the record, I'm for the codification of Roe in law, and I believe a woman should have the right to choose. I know. Crazy, right? Male. And I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but with that hair, gender confusion, perhaps? Are you really a man? Yes. As George Carlin would say, well, bend over and let's find out. Gas was $5.25 in 2008. It went down to $4 in 2018, not $1.87. True. And he was talking when Trump says the $1.87, he's talking in the middle of fucking COVID when oil was negative $32 a barrel. I'm not going to be late that I know of. I have a 1:00 interview today, and then I have a podcast that I'm doing, and so I'm good, and I need to run to the store before that happens. So I will bug out. Thank you. I know you do, Hal, but what about the masses? The vast majority of the masses believe this. This is a minority attack on majority rights. Also, the majority of the activist class of anti-abortionists on the street, like what would be the road warriors of this, are female, are women who are fighting against a woman's right to choose. In the evangelical movement, in southern states, it's not honest to God. This is way less a gender issue than people think it is. That's why it's been so gnarled for so long. And all I can do is say what I'm for and vote for people that I believe will extend that to my fellow humans. So there. All right. I'm out. I will see you guys later. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. Let me see if my end screen works at all. I don't know that it will. Let's see. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. We'll see. See you later. Nope. Nope, just a black screen. That's pretty terrible. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to go to my regular ending. And then, I think it sums up with Streamlabs.